All right, here with reaction, our media guru, Fox News contributor, the one and only Joe Concha is with us. I don't know what my favorites are here. I mean, ageism, or he can ride a bike, but didn't he also fall off that bike? I just have this vague memory of that. You know, I mean, all the anger. Poor liberal Joe, I thought he was going to have an aneurysm this morning. He was so angry. But however, it fits the pattern. This has been going on for a long time. They have ignored it. They'll make a big deal if Trump mixes up Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris, but meanwhile is lucid for, 2 straight hours in interviews that I've had with them. Let's not take that into consideration. But I guess it's a predictable reaction, right?
Sean, I mean, some of those clips you played are incredible. I mean, that CNN clip is something else. They think that he looked during that disaster of a press conference last night more youthful and more engaged. I mean, at no point in their rambling, incoherent responses, like I watched last night, were they even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this country is now dumber for having listened to that analysis. But as far as Rachel Maddow's bike argument, I mean, the real question is, can Joe Biden successfully ride a bike? I mean, we must have video of him somewhere from last summer where he actually falls down while riding a bike right in front of reporters. And Rachel's defense is just about the best unintentional comedy you'll ever see. I mean, my kids could ride a bike by the time they were 4 years old. So I'm not sure how operating, a Schwinn proves that a person is mentally fit. And remember, Rachel's supposed to be the smart one over there. She should just go back to working 1 day a week at this point. But overall, seriously, can you believe the craptastic week this president has had? I mean, it's the worst of his presidency, at least going back to the Afghanistan withdrawal. He couldn't remember, Sean, the name of Hamas. He said he spoke to Francois Mitterrand recently, who only died, almost 40 years ago. Did he get Napoleon's voicemail? How'd that go? And he also said he spoke to what? Helmut Kohl, the German chancellor, who died years ago as well, and said he spoke to him about January 6th. I mean, then the geniuses at the White House comm shop, they thought it was a swell idea to put Joe Biden out there, hastily assembled press conference at 7:45 last night, and we saw how that went. It was Joe Biden as Grandpa Simpson, where now apparently Mexico borders on Gaza, according to our commander-in-chief. But you've been talking about this for years, Sean, and now perhaps even Democrats are finally waking up to the fact that this man should not be in office for, think about it, about 5 more years if he wins re-election. That's what we're talking about here. And this is a guy who expects to lead the country while going on more vacations than Clark Griswold. And many voters are saying, no, give us somebody else, please.
Yeah, I call it my memory is fine. I'm an elderly man. I know what the hell I'm doing press conference. The only one that had a decent amount of honesty in his comments was Paul Begala, saying that anybody with a functioning brain knows that it was a terrible report and presser. And when you think about it, the list of prominent names from the Obama and Clinton era are growing. I mean, you've got David Axelrod, you got Van Jones, Obama people. You got James Carville, now Begala, Clinton people. They're stating the obvious. You got Maureen Dowd at the New York Times. These are pretty prominent left-wing voices in the country that I think probably people will listen to. Are they going to take it the next step that he's not qualified to be president?
Well, that's the problem, Sean. It's like a math equation, A plus B equals C, if C plus B equals A. They have the A part, which is Joe Biden should not be running for office again, when 76% of Americans in an NBC News poll just taken don't think that he has the mental fitness for the job. I mean, that is a devastating number. The problem is the B part of the equation. A, Joe should drop out, but who replaces him, right? It's like saying, all right, this quarterback can't play anymore. He's horrible. Okay, who's the backup? Is it Kamala Harris? Because if she's the emergency plan, she may end up losing 45 states if she's the nominee. I mean, that's how absolutely untrusted and unpopular she is with Democratic voters. So then you look to Gavin Newsom, I guess, maybe. I mean, look at his record in California. And then the bench from there, you tell me who backfills Joe Biden at this point. And also you tell me if Joe Biden looks like a guy who's ready to hand over the keys to the car at this point. He doesn't look like it. He thinks he could beat Donald Trump again. And he seems to be the last one to know that he has a cognitive decline.
Joe Concha, we appreciate it. Best media guy out there, not part of the blue checkmark media mob cult. That's a credit to him. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.